National Unity Platform, former presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu has still shown dissatisfaction over the recently concluded presidential elections. We have the story in our bulletin today. Welcome to TV Africa News. Hope you had a beautiful day. This is Africa Today. My name is Nahaba Kajura. Fast are the headlines. Democratic Party women demand release of all arrested people. Female doctors and nurses preserving through the COVID-19 period. Niger's Isufu wins $5 million African Leadership Prize. And in our sports today, UEFA suspends an official involved in PSG versus Basaksehir Hill Champions League walk-off. Well, let's have the news in detail. The Democratic Party Women's League has asked government to release a full list of all missing persons who were arrested during and after the general elections. Well, our reporter Nalugo has this.
Addressing a press conference at their party headquarters in Kampala, the Vice President of the DP Women's League, Honorable Sarah Adong, said it was not necessary to join the rest of the world to celebrate International Women's Day, since many women who are grieving over their missing relatives therefore stood in solidarity with them.
DP women did not celebrate International Women's Day this year because we were standing in solidarity with our sisters who are bewildered, sad, all mourning. Our sisters are in great pain over the situations they find themselves in following the politically motivated arrests, brutalization, and death of their loved ones.
Last week, Minister of Internal Affairs, General Jeje Odong, presented to Parliament a list of 177 persons who were arrested during and after elections, but the DP Women's League said the list was incomplete and some names on the list were arrested on different issues.
Ono yabadde ku list eyo ey'abantu 1,079 naye nga yakwatibwa ku nsonga za ttaka. Yakwatibwa ku nsonga za ttaka. Kitegeeza ki? Nti badidde abantu baabwe be baagala ne babateekamu okuweza ennamba. Ffe ng'abakyala mu Democratic Party tetugenda kusirika. Era oli bwe yeebuuza n'agamba nti kaakati temwaselebratinze lunaku baabalaze abantu lwaki temusirikako. Tetugenda kusirika kubanga list eyo tukimanyi nti si yentuufu. Mulimu abantu abaleeteddwa ng'ate abantu abaleeteddwa mu list eyo baakwatibwa ku misango mirala.
They have also asked government to improve the country's health sector in order to reduce the number of women who die in labor, as this will give them a reason to celebrate Women's Day. Nalgo Muyingo, Africa Today.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter Nalugo, for that report. The former presidential candidate under the National Unity Platform has shown dissatisfaction over the recently concluded presidential elections by presenting the DRR forms to the public. We have the report.
Addressing the press at National Unity Platform party offices on the 9th of March 2021 in Kamocha, Kampala, amidst tight security, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu said that the results that were declared by the Electoral Commission that gave President Museveni victory were entirely wrong. Kyagulanyi said that according to the declaration forms collected by his party, he won the presidential elections by 54.19%.
Able to access in all different ways indicate that we won the election by 54.19%, despite the massive ballot stuffing and other forms of rigging. We therefore want to inform the nation that we won the January 14th presidential election this year.
Kyagulanyi presented 25,000 DRR forms and affidavits of evidence to the people and promised to share the evidence on all social media platforms and present hard copies to the people of Uganda for confirmation purposes.
Today, I am here to announce once again to all of you here and those watching us from afar that we are on our own. We have brought the case back to the court of the people, and the people of Uganda must now sit and pass judgment in this matter.
People power, 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 people power.
It is on this note that Kyagulanyi called upon the people of Uganda to demonstrate peacefully and lawfully as per Article 29 of the Constitution. It should be noted, however, that police, through its leaders, have warned any illegal procession and demonstrations planned by the opposition in the country. For TV Africa, Najuma Luima reporting.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter Najuma. Moving on to the women, during the commemoration of the International Women's Day and the COVID-19 pandemic, female doctors and nurses of Kampala Medical Chambers shared with TV Africa their experience during the COVID-19 pandemic. We have the report. Being a situation of COVID-19, most of the women have been affected, but some have come out to be strong regardless of the situation. Nyakato Safra, who works with Kampala Medical Chambers, says the pandemic affected them as ladies, but they instead put in more effort as health workers because people cannot stop getting sick. She says the situation instead motivated her as a health worker and they became selfless to serve the country.
What I can say, it affected us as ladies in the hospital. I remember the time we had just started the first lockdown. You know how vehicles weren't moving. It was so hard for us to move. But then as a hospital, as a medical worker, you have to work because people won't stop getting sick. People could fall sick every day. And actually people got COVID-19 and they didn't even realize they got it. Sometimes they could come in the hospital. At first, we weren't doing the testing from here. We could send the samples to Mulago or to other COVID-19 centers, the ones that were testing. But I'm telling you the truth, it wasn't so easy getting a sample, then send it. That was a lot of confusion. A lot can happen on the way. My experience that time was not easy, but as a strong woman, I decided, I did this course, I joined the medical profession when I wanted, because a lot had happened, me seeing people falling sick and I can't help, especially my family members. It motivated me that I can also work on them. Or even if I don't work on them, but when I'm in the medical field, I can advise accordingly.
Natulinda Rachel, a midwife at Kampala Medical Chambers, said that women were affected economically. She said that ladies got pregnant and could reach 9 months when they are not prepared because they were not economically stable. Natulinda says that as their motto states, they are called to serve regardless and save lives.
And for the women that we receive every day in maternity ward, they're also not bad, but mainly also have had this challenge. I can say COVID has affected us in many ways. People say socially, it has affected us spiritually, but more, I'm going to say economically, because a lady will get pregnant and she'll get to know that from the first month I'm pregnant, but my fellow ladies will reach the 9th month and she'll come at the hospital not well prepared. Not because maybe she never wanted to, but because the economical status is not good. And mostly it has been brought about COVID. Businesses have been put down, and those are the same women that have been in those businesses. So mostly the economic part of it has really been affected, and it has even entered into families. Women come when they are not prepared, so it has been the most challenge.
However, Nabukwase Sophia, who works as a frontliner at the hospital, shared with us how they have been able to handle work and the family in the situation of COVID-19.
I work at Kampala Medical Chambers as a nurse, and I'm working as a frontliner at OPD since the COVID season began. Actually, I'm so proud for this day. Being a Women's Day, actually. It's not easy as a woman working, actually, meanwhile doing other things besides like being a mother, being a housewife, being everything. But now this is a situation whereby it's the day, now our day we have to celebrate as a Women's Day. I'm so precious to celebrate this day because it's not an easy day to celebrate because women hold a lot, actually. So this is one day in life I really take so precious to celebrate it.
It is on this point that Dr. Edgar Chebembire, who works as a general doctor at the hospital, shared with us his experience having worked with the ladies. He says it's all about the women from the beginning. However, he encourages the women to keep up the zeal of achieving all the goals and keep joining the medical field and always go for cervical cancer screening.
Women they've gone through a lot to make us survive, to make us be who we are. It's all about women from the beginning. It's the one who carries you, the one who raises you, and the one who tells all the time when you are sick. Most of the time it will be the mother to carry you to the hospital. Most of the time when things are not in the right way, a woman will always guide. A woman will always bring things on the table and make a man whom they seem to be. And whenever they say behind a successful man, there is a strong woman, it's not a lie, it's true.
Okay, Dr. Edgar, 8th March is a day dedicated to the women that is celebrated on a yearly basis. We have managed to talk to the prominent, elegant women of Kampala Medical Chambers who have shared with us how they have transpired through COVID-19, how they have made themselves selflessly and minded about rendering the service to the people. Reporting for TV Africa News, Nahawe Kejura. Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Let's go for a quick break. We shall come back with more. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, The Right to Know. And in our international news today, Niger's President Mohamed Issoufou has won this year's $5 million Ibrahim Prize for achievement in African leadership for his work in promoting economic progress and joining regional efforts to quell the threat of Islamist militants. We have the report.
Niger's President Mohamed Issoufou was first elected in 2011 and re-elected in 2016 and stepped down after serving 2 terms. Festus Moga, chair of the prize committee and a former president of Botswana, said that in the face of the most severe political and economic issues, including violent extremism and increasing desertification, President Mohamed Issoufou led his people on a path of progress. He said that the number of Nigerians living below the poverty line has fallen to 40% from 48% a decade ago, adding that the country had also made progress in improving opportunities for women. Issoufou is said to be succeeded by the former Interior Minister Mohamed Bazoum, who won the presidential election in February. He is the 60th African head of state to win the award, which is paid out of over 10 years. The prize is founded by telecoms tycoon Mo Ibrahim. Nalgo Muyingo, Africa Today.
It is Africa Today. Thank you so much, our reporter Nalugo. Now moving on, the leader of Benin's largest opposition party and first female presidential candidate has been arrested and is accused of planning to assassinate several political figures, according to a government spokesman on Monday. We have the report.
Rekia Madugu's candidacy for the presidential election on April 11 was rejected by the Electoral Commission on Thursday for failing to garner signatures of supporters from 16 mayors or members of parliament. Alain Orunla, the spokesperson for the government of Benin, told reporters that Madugu, 46, who is the head of the Less Democrats Party, was planning to assassinate several political figures, stressing that it was a very serious offense of terrorism. A total of 20 would-be candidates officially handed in their documents to run for the presidency, but the Electoral Commission said only the 3 chosen had met the requirements. President Patrice Talon will face former Minister Alassane Soumanu and Corentin Kohu, a dissident opposition figure. TV Africa News, Kachanchu Mtabazi reporting.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Now moving on, the trial of a former Minneapolis police officer charged in George Floyd's death is forging ahead with jury selection, even though a looming appellate ruling could halt the case and delay it for weeks or even months as the state tries to add a third-degree murder count. We have the report.
Prosecutors are asking the Court of Appeals to put Derek Chauvin's trial on hold until the issue of adding the third-degree murder count is resolved. The appeals court did not immediately rule on that request, and Judge Peter Cahill said on Monday that he intends to keep the trial on track until he's told to stop. Chauvin is charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter in Floyd's death. The Court of Appeals last week ordered Cahill to consider reinstating a third-degree murder charge that he had dismissed. Legal experts say reinstating the charge would improve the odds of getting a conviction. Chauvin's attorney, Eric Nelson, said on Monday that he would ask the state Supreme Court to review the issue. Floyd was declared dead on May 25th after Chauvin, who is white, pressed his knee against the black man's neck for about 9 minutes, holding his position even after Floyd went limp. Floyd's death was captured on widely seen bystander video and sparked sometimes violent protests in Minneapolis and beyond, leading to a nationwide reckoning on race. For TV Africa, Najma Luima reporting.
Now, a crackdown against anti-military protests continued across Myanmar over the weekend as authorities worked to quash demonstrations in several cities, with many killed since February 1st coup. Let's have the report.
Security forces in Myanmar again used force over the weekend to disperse anti-coup protesters, a day after the UN Special Envoy urged the Security Council to take action to quell junta violence that left about 50 peaceful demonstrators dead and scores injured. Fresh protests were reported on Saturday morning in the biggest city of Yangon, where stun grenades and tear gas were used against protesters. On Wednesday, 18 people were reported killed there. The escalation of violence has put pressure on the world community to act to restrain the junta, which seized power on February 1st by ousting the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi. It would have taken a second 5-year term of office last month, but instead she and President Win Myint and other members of her government were placed in military detention. For TV Africa Today, Najma Luima reporting.
Thank you so much, our reporter Najma. Let's go for a quick break. We shall come back with our business news. Welcome back from the break. Now, in our business news today, the women of Ponta Z. Henry community in Guinea-Bissau may not be aware that Monday was International Women's Day, but they do know that if they do not produce salt, they will have nothing to eat. Let's have the report.
The women of the Ponta Z. Henry community in Guinea work day to day to produce the fine mineral, and each kilo sells for 50 cents in Bissau. Upon coming to know of these hardworking women, this Member of Parliament and lawyer Salom dos Santos hired an association to teach the women how to produce more salt by way of less work. Salom dos Santos said that she decided to support those women because she was working in her community and saw that they have great difficulties in the salt work. The new technique consists of producing salt by exposure to the sun instead of heating water with firewood. In the traditional way, a person receives 20 to 30 kilos every 72 hours and cuts down trees, but with the new technique, 100 kilos are produced and there is more time for other tasks. Nalgo Muyingo, Africa Today.
Away from business, now in our health news today, a Ghanaian-born priest has become a lifeline for Peruvians sick with COVID-19 in a beach town near the capital, Lima, helping out with people in desperate need of oxygen, medicine, or food supplies. Let's have the report.
When end of Felix Nyamadizi's parishioners fall ill due to coronavirus, they struggle to find oxygen, which has been a scarce and overpriced commodity that has left many spending their life savings. Nyamadiz, the priest, goes around delivering aid to people in the area that's been hit hard by the economic consequences of lockdown rules, such as Paunta Najar, which are forbidden to visitors. The African priests say that when the pandemic arrived, they were not used to staying locked up. Then the illness that struck all of them psychologically and physically. Peru has recorded more than 1.3 million COVID-19 cases and more than 47,300 deaths. Thousands of infected people dying at home because hospitals do not have space for more patients, driving them to obtain their own oxygen supplies. Katende Chabasinga reporting.
Thank you so much, our reporter Katende. In our sports news today, UEFA has suspended Romanian fourth official Sebastian Contescu until the end of the season over his involvement in the sending off of Istanbul Başakşehir assistant coach Pierre Webo, which sparked a player walk-off in the Champions League. Let's have the report.
The match between Paris Saint-Germain and Istanbul Başakşehir in December was halted after 13 minutes following an argument on the touchline over a red card shown to Webo. It resumed the following day after the four officials were replaced. Webo accused the fourth official of referring to him using the word negru, which is the Romanian word for black. UEFA said in a statement that Contescu had been suspended for inappropriate behavior during a UEFA match for which he was appointed and had been ordered to attend an educational program before 30 June 2021. The pair were found guilty of violating Article 11.1 of the UEFA disciplinary regulations, which deals with general principles of conduct and focuses on breaches such as those which bring the game into disrepute. TV Africa News, Kachanchu Mtabazi reporting.
Thank you so much, our reporter Kachanchu. Now, before we end our bulletin, let's have a recap of our top stories. Democratic Party women demand release of all arrested people. Female doctors and nurses preserving through the COVID-19 period. Niger's Isufu wins $5 million African Leadership Prize. And in our sports today, UEFA suspends an official involved in PSG versus Başakşehir Champions League walk-off. Well, thank you so much for watching with us from where we started. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.
This is Africa, and that was the news.